Guys, watch the previous part done before this, the video link is in the description. Now let's get started. At the Fang family building, Fang Daxang sits in front of his computer when suddenly, the screen begins to glitch. Noticing the distorted display, he wonders if the screen is broken. But suddenly, the face of a masked man pops up on the screen. He lets Fang Daxang know that they have his daughter, Fang Quanshui, with them. He also informs him that he would have to hand over 300 million if he wanted his daughter to be safe. He concludes by saying that he should not try any tricks as they would kill her right away if anything goes wrong. Out of fury, Fang Daxang punches at him through the computer screen. To him, anyone that kidnaps his daughter is seeking death. Meanwhile, the same video clip was synced on every single screen in the Fang family's household. In no time, the news of Fang Quanshui being abducted spread within the Fang family. Several people who are under the Fang family gather at the building. They tell each other that it has been a while since they all got together like this. Soon, Fang Daxang shows up too. He tells them all that since Fang Quanshui has been taken hostage, they must do everything they possibly can to find out who the culprit is and rescue her. The members agree and say that they understand. Fang Daxang then spots Lan Ziyu, who is the elder sister of Lan Zimo, in the crowd. Since she is capable of mind reading, he asks her to try and read their location through the video. She says that she did try it but to no avail. Normally, she would be able to detect the location from any object within the picture. Even if it was just a pinch of sand, she would be able to nail the desert where it lies. But for some reason, she is not able to do that now. Fang Daxang asks her if she means that the background in the video is fake, which means that there is no such place in the universe. Lan Ziyu says that it could also be a place that lies beyond the universe. Upon hearing this, Fang Daxang yells in a booming voice, asking if she could be in a dungeon. He grabs a hold of Lan Ziyu and asks her which dungeon it is and which family commands it. She mutters that she can't read that either. Fang Chunyi tells Fang Daxang that in this case, they could only rely on the strength of manpower. Daxang asks him what he means, to which Fang Chunyi says that they should send as many people as possible to search in the unclaimed dungeons. And if they could not find her in any of those dungeons, chances are that she could be trapped in one of the other 3 families' dungeons. Fang Daxang agrees to Fang Chunyi's plan and orders everyone to go find that dungeon immediately. Daxang and Chunyi go to check up on Ben, who is in the hospital. Ben apologizes to Daxang for not being able to protect Quanshui. Fang Daxang tells Ben that he has sent a search party to rescue her, but the search area needs to be further reduced, and they could only do this by identifying the culprits. So he asks Ben to try illustrating what actually happened so they could try to pick clues from it. Ben tells them about how that night they left Tian's place, and having detected nobody on the streets, he carried on escorting her. But suddenly, a force of gravity crashed from above, causing him to lose consciousness. Daxang is surprised to hear about the force of gravity. He tells his assistant to check the list of hunters registered with the government and give him their names. Fang Chunyi asks Ben if he said that Fang Quanshui was abducted after returning from Tian's place. Ben says that is right and that they went because Quanshui wanted to discuss the investigation of the traitors with Tian herself. YY sits on a swing in a park by herself. 2 men show up out of nowhere and ask her if she is Yin Yangshen's friend. They say to her that they are looking for him, but there is no one at his house. So they ask her if she knows where he is. YY says that she has no idea about that either. The men look at each other and ask her if they could take her with them instead. Fang Quanshui is still tied up and sits surrounded by the group of guys. One of them is frustrated that Fang Daxang has not showed up yet as his feet are freezing. Another guy tells him to bear with it as this will be a huge feat once they succeed. Listening to all this, Fang Quanshui wonders if they're actually aiming for her dad. Tian is at the Arctic permafrost. He then sees Sidhu in front of him and says that he would not even have come if he had known that he would be here too. Sidhu thinks to himself that he would definitely prove his worth this time no matter what. Tian and Sidhu, along with Zhisheng, walk in the snow of the Arctic permafrost when they come across a couple of polar bear beasts. Because Sidhu has already been here before, Zhisheng asks Sidhu how these beasts hold up. Sidhu says that they are merely minions and that the boss is the real deal. Saying this, he throws flames at the polar bear beasts. Fang Quanshui is still in the dungeon. Her captors hear some sounds outside the cave and wonder if there are people out there. One of them gets up and says that he would go and take a look, and the other asks him to be careful and not get noticed by anyone. After the beasts have been defeated, Zhisheng appreciates Sidhu and says that it was amazing. Sidhu says that now that the beasts have been cleared, the boss will wait for them at the other side of the forest. Tian asks him if he is sure that he has killed every single beast here. Sidhu angrily says that he even burned down every single tree, and asks him what more he wants him to do. As the three of them continue to walk ahead, Jisheng tells Sidhu that they need to come up with a good plan to avoid defeat from the boss. So he asks Sidhu to tell him about the boss's appearance and skills so they could plan specific strategies to counter its abilities. Sidhu explains that it is a snow falcon, and apart from its absurd agility, it is also capable of generating air blasts, which can counter his flames by flapping its wings. He also says that it even has the ability to bombard them with frozen crystals. Sidhu would not be able to melt the ice completely with his flame because the falcon's attacks consist of a fusion between two different elements. Jisheng thinks to himself how it's always been thought that fire is the best counter to ice, but wind could be a good counter as well. So he asks Tian if he is skilled in the wind element. Tian says that sword wind is all that he is capable of, and Jisheng says that they would manage with that. So Jisheng huddles with them and explains to them how while Sidhu's flame might be put off by the snow falcon's air blasts, a suitable amount of wind would fuel it further instead. So he tells them both to cooperate with each other. Tian's sword wind would raise the temperature of Sidhu's flame and help to melt the ice crystals. Besides that, the sword wind would be able to counter the air blasts and prevent the flame from being blown back to them. Tian says that is true, as even a campfire can be reignited when it is blown at. So Sidhu agrees to try out and execute this plan. Tian compliments Jisheng and says that his planning was impressive. Jisheng says that he might not look like it, but he is actually quite devoted to war histories, so the strategizing could be left to him. Sidhu then tells them to stop bluffing around as the boss is here. Tian gets ready with his sword wind and Sidhu prepares the flames. Jisheng tells them that since it is their first time cooperating, it would be better to test things out first with some lesser scaled skills. So Tian and Sidhu go ahead and put their skills combo to the test. The winds swirl around the flames, and when it hits the falcon's wing, it succeeds a portion of its wings away. The snow falcon then drops ice crystals on them. However, Sidhu and Tian work together to cause a wind and flame tornado to keep the ice crystals away. In no time, the falcon finds itself caught in the midst of it and the whole thing explodes. Fang Quanchui's abductor watches this explosion from where he is standing. He tells himself that it must be just some random raid team and that they would just leave after they defeat the boss. Tian, Sidhu and Jisheng leave after the boss has been killed. Tian then senses that something is off and asks them if there is a humanoid beast in the dungeon too. The abductor returns back inside the cave and the others ask him what is going on out there and if Fang Daxang has come. He tells them that it is just a random raid team who have already left. The other guy says that it seems like they can't block people from entering an unclaimed dungeon after all, but it should not be a problem as long as they do not try to mess with them. Fang Quanchui nervously asks them if Daxang is not here yet. Sidhu asks Tian what he means by a humanoid beast because all the beasts in this dungeon are in the form of an animal. So Tian says that it is weird that there are footprints in the snow that look like they belong to a human. So they go to take a closer look at it and Jisheng says that it is a human footprint, and considering the size of the footprint, it looks to be a male's. They then see that the footprints lead in the opposite direction. So Tian suggests that they should explore a bit more as they can't eliminate the possibility of there being a humanoid beast in this dungeon, and Sidhu also agrees to this. At the Fang family building, the two men have brought YY to Fang Daxang. He immediately asks her to tell him where Tian is since she is his friend. YY says that all along she has been saying that has no idea. The men accuse her of covering up for Tian and say that she is his comrade. They also ask her to tell them where Fang Quanchui is, because she won't say anything. Fang Daxang informs her that they have hunters who could uncover her memories if she is unwilling to tell them anything. He also adds that having her mind read would not be a great experience. YY tries to defend herself by saying that they are all going against the law. Fang Daxang says that he is the law here. He asks her to spill everything that she knows if she wants to get out of here safely. Fang Chunni interrupts them by saying that they have made progress. Fang Daxang immediately asks him to tell him all about it. Fang Chunni says that the intelligence department has discovered clues from the blackmail video. He shows him a speck of snow that can be seen in the video. He also says that there was mist around their mouths as they spoke, which means that the dungeon is freezing cold. Daxang asks how many such dungeons are there and orders for this to be investigated immediately. However, Chunni says that the investigation has already been done and that the Arctic permafrost is the sole possibility amongst the unclaimed dungeons. So, Fang Daxang orders the girl to inform everyone who is out searching to head to the Arctic permafrost as soon as possible, and then tells Chunni that they should leave too and starts to run. When asked what should be done about YY, Daxang tells him that he should watch her carefully and not allow her to escape. The three of them stumble upon the cave that the footprints lead up to. Sidhu says that they should go check out the inside of the cave, but Zhisheng says that they better not rush because if the person was in the dungeon all along, and they did not show up when they were defeating the boss, then they are definitely not here to kill the beasts. So he says to them that they should just wait and see what they are really up to. However, Sidhu and Tian convince him that they should head into the cave, much to Zhisheng's disappointment. Tian notices the jagged, unsymmetrical walls of the cave and says that he hates stalactite caves so much. He also says that nature is a terrible crafter. Upon hearing his voice, the abductors realize that someone is here. Sidhu also screams into the cave, asking if there is anyone in there. They soon hear the muffled noises that Fang Quanshui makes, so the three of them run towards the place of the noise and find Fang Quanshui all tied up. Tian asks her why she is here while the captors watch him quietly while hiding in the shadows. Tian runs up to Quanshui and asks her if she is alright. She shakes her head violently and tries to tell him to not come near her. Tian realizes that she is shaking her head, which means she is asking to stay away. Suddenly, he is unable to move forward and then notices a strange opening in front of him. While Tian is trying to figure out what it is, he senses something behind him. So he lets Sidhu know about it and Sidhu immediately takes care of it. One of the captors says that Tian is quite perceptive, so there is no point of going invisible anymore. While Tian is fighting off one of them, another one appears behind him with a dagger. Zhisheng says that they have really gotten themselves into trouble with hidden assassins. Sidhu says that they should go and give Tian a hand and help him. The two assassins surround Tian and try to stab him with the dagger, but Tian keeps dodging them until Sidhu shows up and kicks them both away. He then uses his flame skill to kill them, but they have made themselves invisible once again. Sidhu then notices Tian trying to fight off another assassin with his sword, so he decides to help him, and after asking Tian to watch out, he throws flames at the assassin while Tian ducks. However, the assassin manages to escape in time. Sidhu then says that he would get him and runs after him. Tian pulls him back in time just before he reaches the opening. One of the assassins then mockingly applauds Tian for being so perceptive. He also compliments Sidhu for his skills while using his full name to address him. So Sidhu asks him how he knows his full name. Tian is also confused as he thought his surname was Si. The assassin replies that everyone knows the eldest young master of the Sidhu family. He also says that they were only aiming for the Fang family, but now the Sidhu family's heir has jumped into the trap by himself too. He says that he is gonna capture them too and makes his way towards Sidhu and Tian with daggers in his hands, followed by the other assassins. Sidhu says that they would not be able to kill him even in their dreams. Fang Daxang and Fang Chunni soon reach the entrance of the unclaimed dungeon. The rest of the troops get there too and say that they rushed here after being notified and that the others are right behind them as well. Fang Daxang tells Fang Chunni that they should not waste time. Then, he enters the unclaimed dungeon. While Daxang is in the dungeon, Chunni crushes an object between his fingers and enters the dungeon as well. The troops try to enter next, but they are unable to do so because the seal has been re-established. They wonder if they are playing into someone's hands. Fang Daxang and Fang Chunni are soon in the Arctic permafrost. They also notice the footprints in front of them. Fang Daxang asks Chunni where the others are. Chunni turns around and asks if he should go take a look, but Fang Daxang says that they should just go ahead. When they get close to the entrance of the cave, Fang Daxang notices that the footprints become stacked here. So he tosses his blazer aside and tells Chunni they should head in because they would definitely be inside. Fang Chunni warns him to not act recklessly as there are criminals inside. He also says that he might end up startling the criminals by walking right into their base, after which they might end up killing Quanshui. Fang Daxang tells him that he could not be more wrong about that, as he is not here to rescue Fang Quanshui. He is just here to kill the criminals. Fang Chunni finds it strange and wonders if Daxang does not care about Quanshui's safety at all. Meanwhile, Tian and Sidhu are still battling the assassins while Zhisheng hides behind a wall in the cave, thinking that he should escape soon as things are not looking good. Suddenly, one of them yells that Fang Daxang is here and asks everyone to retreat. So the assassins go back into hiding by turning themselves invisible. Daxang races through the cave while punching everything in his way. He soon reaches the place and sees that Fang Quanshui is being held hostage with Tian and Sidhu standing in front of her. Tian and Sidhu are both surprised to see him. Fang Daxang says to Tian that he did not expect to see him here. Chunni says that it was Tian who took Fang Quanshui hostage, and Tian asks him what he is talking about. Fang Chunni then tells Quanshui to not be afraid as they are here to rescue her. She shakes her head to tell him that he has got it all wrong. Sidhu also tries to tell them that it must all be a misunderstanding. He explains to him that they just met her here and that they are not her abductors. Fang Daxang then asks him if he is the brat from the Sidhu family. He then asks him if the Sidhu family is involved in this as well. Sidhu tells him that is not the case and asks him to listen to him. However, Fang Daxang activates S-tier physical strengthening and charges at Tian and Sidu. They both try to dodge his attack. Sidu throws flames at Fang Daxang after asking Tian to dodge it. Daxang lands a punch at Tian through the flames, which makes Tian's sword to break off into pieces. Tian falls back and Sidu asks him to quickly use Sword Wind. Tian first uses up the defensive gloves, which would enable him to nullify the damage from a single physical attack. Then, just like they did before, Tian and Sidu use a combination of flames and Sword Wind to create a tornado, which manages to trap Fang Daxang in it. Fang Quanshui watches this with fear but thinks that he should be alright. Suddenly, Daxang sticks his hands out of it and grabs Sidu and Tian by their throats. He closes in on them to punch them but spits blood instead. Quanshui watches this and wonders if his illness is striking again. However, Chunyi watches everything in satisfaction. As Tian and Sidu watch Fang Daxang cough out blood, they wonder what happened and if they hurt him that much. Fang Daxang turns towards Chunyi and asks him why he is not doing anything about this. So Fang Chunyi says that he would help and walks towards him menacingly. All of a sudden, laser beams shoot through Fang Daxang's chest, and he soon falls to the ground. He realizes what Fang Chunyi has done and asks him if he is siding with Tian as well. Fang Chunyi says to him that him siding with Tian would be such a joke. He also says that they would be killed right after he kills him. After saying this, Fang Chunyi uses the beams to bring him down, but before the beams can pierce him once again, Fang Daxang punches it and blocks it from touching him. He then closes in on Fang Chunyi and is about to attack him, but the hidden assassins soon show themselves and stand beside Fang Chunyi. Then, Fang Chunyi tells Daxang that he is the only one that can still manage to stand after being hit by that skill. Fang Daxang then notices that the guys behind Fang Chunyi are from the Cayenne family. They use a skill called Magnitude Rise, which causes Fang Daxang to fall to his knees. He then asks them why they are betraying him. Tian and Sidu are now faced with defending themselves against Fang Chunyi and his assassins. One of the assassins tells Fang Chunyi that they would take care of Sidu, and Tian and asks him to just focus on getting rid of Fang Daxang. Tian slashes his sword at the assassins while Sidu fights them off without any weapons. Fang Chunyi stands in front of an injured Fang Daxang. He uses the beams to attack him again, but this time, it is stopped by Zhisheng, who uses his Shadow Taunt skill in order to stall Fang Chunyi's attack and prevent Fang Daxang from being hurt. Everyone in the cave wonders what is going on as they are not able to control their movements. The beams that Fang Chunyi sent his way also change directions and head towards two of the assassins instead and kill them both after causing an explosion. Both Tian and Sidu praise Zhisheng for helping them out and doing a great job. Zhisheng then says that he might have just been shadow taunting, but he's going to need a few days of rest again after this. Fang Chunyi is taken aback by what he just saw, and he wonders who this guy is, where he came from, and how he was able to acquire such a skill. Using their powerful flame and sword wind combo once again, Sidu and Tian send a flame tornado towards Fang Chunyi. However, the beams that Fang Chunyi shoots are able to block their attack and are then shot back towards them, but they both manage to dodge it in time. But this causes the rocks on the ceiling of the cave to shake and loosen, right above where Fang Quanshui is seated. As the rock is about to fall, Fang Quanshui closes her eyes and braces for the impact, but Fang Daxang prevents the rock from falling on her. Sidu then unties Fang Quanshui just as Fang Daxang falls back down. Fang Quanshui angrily asks Fang Chunyi why he is doing this. Fang Chunyi says that all that will be known is the demise of the Fang family's master and his daughter in the hands of the criminals. Fang Chunyi says that his plan is to tell everyone that the Fang family master and his daughter were killed by the criminals, and Chunyi could not arrive in time to help them and inherited everything in the Fang family. Chunyi sets off his laser beams again, but this time, he aims it directly at Fang Quanshui. She stands right in the path of the beams, but Zhisheng quickly uses Shadow Taunt again to stall the attack. The beam changes direction and is now headed towards Zhisheng, but Tian pushes him out of the way in the nick of time. Since Sidu realized that he has just been a pawn in Fang Chunyi's conspiracy, he decides to get back at him by throwing flames at him. Fang Chunyi dodges the attack easily and mocks Sidu for trying to hit him with such a slow move. He then says to them that even if they dodge all of his hits, it won't take long for the cave to collapse. He says that he would blast the entire cave and bury all of them with it. Sidu gets mad and asks him why they should be buried alongside someone like him. Fang Chunyi says that he would be able to escape as the Cayenne family will soon come to his assistance, and any injuries he gets would just be honorable scars from battling the criminals. Tian says to Zhisheng that he doesn't want to end up under a pile of rocks, so he asks him if he has any plan. Zhisheng says that in their current situation, the cave would definitely collapse if they attempt anything too powerful. and even if they both were lucky enough to escape, those who would have trouble moving like Fang Daxang would die here, and they both would end up becoming Fang Chunyi's perfect target of accusation for his crime. Sidu says that it seems like the only option is to get rid of Fang Chunyi. Zhisheng says that for once, Tian and Sidu are able to agree on one thing, so he now has a plan. Fang Chunyi notices them talking amongst themselves and he asks them what they are babbling about. All of a sudden, Tian leaps towards him and Chunyi calls him trash for trying to come at him. He tries to stop Tian, but Zhisheng uses Shadow Taunt skill and deflects the direction of Fang Chunyi's attack, and Tian uses this opportunity to nail a perfect right uppercut on Fang Chunyi. However, he dodges it easily and says that even though he is not an expert at close combat, there is no way a weak punch like that would hit him. This enrages Tian and he jumps at Fang Chunyi and grabs a hold of him. While Fang Chunyi is wondering what Tian is trying to do, Sidu uses Sacred Eruption. Fang Chunyi knees Tian in his stomach, but Tian doesn't let go. Tian tightens his grip on him and asks him how he is going to escape now. Fang Chunyi tells him that he is crazy and trying to bring them down together. Suddenly, the ground beneath them erupts and blows up. For a moment, it seems like Fang Chunyi is surrounded by the flames, but he soon straightens up and mocks Tian for being an F tier and trying to bring him down. Tian comes up behind him to grab him after using the substitute puppet skill which he had received as a reward earlier. This skill would enable him to withstand 9 fatal injuries. The remaining count that he can use for the skill is 7. Tian tells Chunyi that fire-based attack will never shatter the cave and asks him how many more strikes he would be able to endure. He also says that he does not mind using up the substitute puppet count so they could go at it again. Fang Chunyi faces Tian and is about to punch him, but Sidu comes to the rescue by sending a giant swirl of fire towards Chunyi. After making it out of it with much difficulty, he says that not even he could withstand these continuous strikes. He then says that no one would leave here alive and prepares to kill them all, but Tian sneaks up behind him to punch him so hard that he falls at the other side of the cave. Then, there is a loud explosion that takes place. Meanwhile, the assassins who are waiting outside hear the sounds and explosions coming from the cave. One of them says that it is time for them to start acting according to Fang Chunyi's plan. The other guy says to him that he would cancel the barrier and open the portal so that the Fang family can witness heroic scenes of Fang Chunyi putting himself in danger to rescue the Fang family's head and his daughter. So, soon enough, the seal has been removed and the Fang family members rush to rescue Fang Daxang, Fang Chunyi, and Fang Quanshui. One of the assassins points them in the direction of the smoke. Underneath the rubble and rock lies Fang Chunyi. He gets up thinking that he could now tell everyone that he got to the scene late and inherit everything from the Fang family. Soon, Tian comes out of the debris too, after using up substitute puppet again, which would not only help him recover but also increase his speed for 5 minutes. And Sidu soon follows as well. He wonders how Tian is able to stand up after blocking the hit for him. Fang Chunyi is angry that Tian is still alive and holds out his hand to launch another attack, but Tian is already on the move, ready to fight him. Fang Chunyi tries to get Tian again, but he dodges every one of the light beams. Fang Chunyi is taken aback by Tian's sudden speed. He wonders what skill he used to increase his speed. Then, Fang Daxang, Zhisheng and Fang Quanshui also get up from the debris of the cave. Fang Chunyi notices this and tries to kill both Zhisheng and Quanshui by aiming his light beam at them. Tian races towards them in order to block the attack and saves them both. In the aftermath of blocking the attack, Tian is seriously injured and Chunyi says that he only did it because he knew that Tian would rush to block it. Fang Chunyi raises his hand to the sky in an attempt to kill Tian with the light beams once and for all. A huge explosion is heard and Tian is still standing despite having both his arms cut off and a gaping hole through his torso. Fang Quanshui and Zhisheng watch him worriedly while Fang Chunyi is glad he has finally brought Tian down. However, Tian uses up substitution puppet again and his body regenerates to its former healthy state. Chunyi is stunned to see that Tian was able to recover so quickly, and since Tian was willing to sacrifice his life for Fang Quanshui, she is overcome with the will to help him and protect him too. So when Chunyi gets ready to attack again, she runs and stands in front of Tian and creates a ball of energy to protect them from Chunyi. Fang Daxang says that Fang Quanshui's MP blessed her with her remaining energy right before she died, so it could protect her from any external force. Daxang then tells Tian to focus on defeating Fang Chunyi now as Fang Quanshui is protected. He also tells Tian that even though Fang Chunyi's light beams may be extremely lethal, his physique is only in a tier, and he would not dare to use his powers in close-range fights unless he wants to hurt himself as well. After hearing this, Tian closes in on Fang Chunyi to deliver the best punch possible, but Chunyi immediately grabs his fist and says that he is not just a B+ tier hunter but he is actually an S tier. But before he can finish his sentence, Tian punches him square in the face. Fang Chunyi struggles to get up and says that Tian's punches have incredible power, and that he is way beyond S tier. Tian is about to punch him again, but he is interrupted by the Fang family security crew who say that Fang Chunyi must be protected. Fang Quanshui immediately stops them and says that they are all mistaken. She explains to them that Fang Chunyi ganged up against her and Fang Daxang with the assassins, and it was Tian who saved them. At the same moment, the assassin shows up and holds Fang Chunyi, who is limping and unable to walk. They head to leave through a portal nearby. Fang Daxang tries to stop them, but they have already exited the dungeon. Tian pulls out the item that he received for defeating the tortoise earlier, and decides to drink it in order to recover, mainly because he does not want the side effects of the substitution puppet to come back to bite him. Lan Ziyu reaches the cave of the dungeon and apologizes for being late. She then asks Fang Quanshui if she is doing alright. Fang Quanshui tells her that she is fine. She then asks Tian how he is feeling, to which he replies that he is as good as ever. Lan Ziyu is angry upon seeing this and thinks to herself what kind of psychedelic soup Tian has fed Fang Quanshui. One of the security forces soon tells Lan Ziyu to activate the portal as everyone is ready to leave the dungeon. So she says okay, and once the portal is opened, everyone exits through it. Fang Daxang is in the hospital, recovering from his injuries. Fang Quanshui asks the mage and the doctor how Fang Daxang is doing. The mage says that in order for Fang Daxang to make it out, he would have to make a rule-breaking decision. The doctor says that Fang Daxang is seriously injured and also tells her to not trust the mage as he is a scammer. The mage angrily tells him that he is a clueless brat for daring to slander and mock his ancestral hyper-spiritual remedy. Fang Quanshui tells them both to stop arguing. Lan Ziyu keeps a close eye on Zhisheng, Tian and Sidu. Zhisheng tells her that they are all unrelated to this incident, and asks her to let them go. Lan Ziyu apologizes to them and says that even though she trusts their innocence, everything would be up to Fang Daxang and his decision once he regains consciousness. To this, Sidu says that it is absolutely nuts. Tian then notices that YY is there as well and asks what she is doing here. So she tells him that they accused him of abducting Fang Quanshui and other things of that sort and dragged her here to question her. Tian gets angry, thinking that it is all because of Fang Chunyi and his plan. YY then offers to help Fang Daxang recover, and Tian thinks that she will not be able to hide her secret identity as a hunter any longer. She raises her hands and places them above him, and within moments, Fang Daxang opens his eyes. Sidu tells her that it is an impressive healing skill. Fang Daxang then orders Lan Ziyu to gather every member of the Fang family for a conference the next day, as he has an important announcement to make. She then asks him what she should do about Tian and the others. So Fang Daxang says to Tian that he really appreciates all his help and that the Fang family is indebted to him, Sidu and Zhisheng, for their help. He then tells them that he just wants to speak to Tian and Fang Quanshui and asks the others to leave. Later that day, all the members of the Fan family are gathered for a meeting that is being addressed by Fang Daxang. He tells them that a lot has happened to the Fang family in recent times and that he believes that everyone has heard the news about Fang Chunyi as well. The Fang family members in the crowd are appalled that what they heard is actually true, and that Fang Chunyi is really a traitor. A person in the crowd even says that Fang Chunyi has been his eyesore for a long time. Also in the crowd and listening to all of this is a girl, Sister Hu. Earlier, she had asked Fang Chunyi if he really likes Fang Quanshui. He had told her that all Fang Daxang thinks of is to pass on the position of family head onto Fang Quanshui, and pleasing her is only part of his plot to snatch her position. He also tells her that the one he loves truly is none other than her. After hearing whatever was said, she angrily thinks that this must have been Tian and Fang Quanshui's work. Fang Daxang then says that it would be troublesome for him to manage every affair now that he has been injured by Fang Chunyi. So he says that he would like to take this opportunity to announce that Fang Quanshui would be the new head of the family. The rest of the Fang family members are all for it, as they say that Fang Quanshui is the best candidate, and that they would support her. Fang Daxang also says that Yin Yangshan has been appointed as the chief assistant in accordance with Fang Quanshui's wish. Hearing this, the Fang family members are confused. Some say that he is just an F tier, while others ask if he has what it takes to be Fang Quanshui's assistant. Sister Hu, who is in a tier hunter, speaks up and says that she is against Tian being Fang Quanshui's assistant. Zhisheng tells her that they make a great couple and that she should not oppose it. so she asks him how a mere F-tier hunter like Tian can rank above them and become the chief assistant too. Listening to her, the rest of the members start to protest too. They say that Fang Quanshui has just appointed Tian out of favoritism, and then ask her if they forgot that they walked through fire and did so much for the Fang family. A few others say that Tian is just a useless nobody, and that he would achieve nothing if at all Fang Quanshui had not favored him. Sister Hu yells at Fang Quanshui and says that the Fang family has made it a custom to treat individuals by their strength. Fang Quanshui tells that she is right, and that is the reason why a lot of the brilliant hunters here are willing to serve the Fang family. The members in the crowd say that is right. Suddenly, Xiao Liang jumps and kicks high and closes in on Tian. Sister Hu thinks that even though Xiao Liang might just be a B-tier hunter, his boasted spinning kick, buffed by the special item called Blue Chelsea, is just as strong as an S-tier strike. Tian sees him getting closer to him, and so he decides to give him a taste of his own punches and kicks. After beating him up hard, Tian asks him why a skinny guy like him is wearing such big shoes. He tells him that it is very absurd to look at. When Xiao Liang falls, he falls so hard that it leaves cracks on the ground. Meanwhile, the crowd is beyond confused. They have no idea what just happened, as they could not even see anything. They are all amazed by Tian's strength. Fang Quanshui notices that Tian just used the same skill set that he used in the dungeon while he was battling Fang Chunhei. Fang Quanshui then asks the crowd if anyone else wants to oppose her decision and challenge Tian. This time the crowd says that they think Tian is the most reliable candidate. Sister Hu gets angry that Tian injured her disciple and says to Tian that she would not let him go easily. Tian asks her if he is really her disciple, feeling puzzled. She then puts her on robotic gloves and says that Tian's spotlight would now come to an end. She also says that she will show him how strong she is. But before she can do anything, she is stopped by a guy who says that they would be at a disadvantage if they battle Tian recklessly whilst his true strength is still a mystery. So he says that it is better to call for Brother Dao's help. Sister Hu grudgingly agrees to it, and before they leave, Tian tells her to ask her disciple to change his shoes. The other guy says to him that they were careless and apologizes for it before they leave. But unknown to Tian and the others, they leave behind a tracker to monitor them and listen in on their discussions. With that, the conference ends in chaos. Fang Quanshui and Yin Yangshan's appointments are basically done and dusted. Tian sits in annoyance as he can't help thinking about that guy's extra large sneakers. Fang Quanshui and Zhisheng enter the room. Tian asks them what they are here for, and Fang Quanshui says that he really worked hard today. Tian says that it was nothing and that he would always do his best like he promised them. Tian then asks Zhisheng if there is anything he would like to tell him since he followed him here. But Zhisheng says nothing, so Fang Quanshui tells Tian that she has been thinking of discussing something with him. And Zhisheng says that great minds think alike. Tian says that he has something to ask too and asks if anyone could explain what an unclaimed dungeon is. Fang Quanshui is glad to teach him and says that they would start from the beginning. Fang Quanshui begins to explain to Tian about how dungeons in the world are home to limited resources. In Country X, the majority of dungeons are controlled by the government. Tian asks her if the civilization led by the Fang family is doing something similar. Fang Quanshui says that is right, but such an identity has been proved to be a double-edged sword. She talks about how dungeon resources are accessible by civil organizations like them, but they are entirely down to the allocation by Country X's government, which is based on a fixed quota. And over time, the existing dungeons get completely exploited and new ones start to spawn. So with the quota fixed, the gain in dungeon resources had been going downhill for many civil organizations. So she says that is why they need to explore newly generated unclaimed dungeons. Zhisheng also says that unclaimed dungeons are free from influences and boast a wide array of unknown resources. Tian says that he is really not interested in all of that. This leaves Zhisheng and Fang Quanshui very confused. Zhisheng throws the maps in his hand and says that he gathered all the maps of unclaimed dungeons just for this occasion. Tian kicks him away and tells him not to get any snot on him. He then takes a look at one of Zhisheng's maps and asks him what this mess is. So he explains to him that their predecessors planned ahead as they explored. Tian takes another look at it and Zhisheng asks him if he would not like to excavate his own superior path. Hearing this, Tian gets very excited and says they would start from the most disorganized one. He says that he would first go straight west and clear every single dungeon in the west part. Zhisheng cheers excitedly too. The tiny bug that was left behind by Sister Hu and the guys gets closer to Fang Quanshui while she does not notice. Sister Hu is informed that the infiltration is complete and that Tian is going to explore the western unclaimed dungeons. She says that is great and that Brother Dao is very familiar with the western region. So they go to Brother Dao and let him know that they would be relying on him to reach Tian a lesson. To this, Dao replies that they do not have to worry about it. Brother Dao is an S-tier hunter, sword dancer. He picks up an item and says that Tian will not have it easy. Fang Quanshui is in her office, going through a laptop. Fang Daxang walks in and asks her how things are going as the new head of the Fang family. She doesn't reply, so Fang Daxang asks her what it is. So she shows him a list of Fang Chunyi's contacts before his betrayal. Almost all of them are related to the Cayenne family. She also says that many hunters who currently serve the Fang family are actually moles installed by him. Suddenly, Fang Daxang hits Fang Quanshui's neck and takes something out, and she asks him what is wrong. A hand is seen with a bug on it. Someone left a bug that couldn't have been detected if it weren't for an S-tier hunter with exceptional vision. Yin Yangshan's trip to the unclaimed dungeons is exposed. A man tells him to follow him if he is going to take on the unclaimed dungeons. He then says that Brother Dao will be the mole since he has never shown himself in front of Yin Yangshan, and asks him to team up with Yin Yangshan and gain his trust. 3 others will play backup there. The man then asks Brother Dao to wait till Yin Yangshan gets tired from raiding the dungeons, and then tells him to strike him from the back with his S-tier power. He then told the 3 others to join in and destroy Yin Yangshan with Hijisheng and ask them to grab every single dungeon loot that they grinded. He thinks that this time he will make Yin Yangshan pay twice as much. He thinks that he has the advantage as they have 4 men, whereas Yangshan only has 2. After that, Hijisheng and Yin Yangshan are seen walking towards the site, and they enter the first site for the Western Dungeon. Jisheng says that he has never come to the Western Dungeons before and thinks that it's better to team up with the local hunters, who would be more reliable. He says that it's way easier to just find someone on the spot, and these unclaimed dungeons are hotspots among scattered cultivators. Suddenly, Yangshan notices a man standing on top of the dungeon, and he quickly jumps and asks if both Zhisheng and Yangshan would like to team up with him in order to explore the dungeon. Zhisheng asks him if he is a local cultivator, but Yangshan rejects him. But the local cultivator says that he is familiar with these dungeons, having worked in them for eternity. Whereas Yangshan says that this guy is all covered with mud and even splashed some on him, so he is just irritated from looking at him. On the other hand, the master's men keep a check on all that's happening. Zhisheng suggests teaming up with him, as they really need a teammate who is familiar with this place. The cultivator thinks that he will cop them up once we obtain all the dungeon loot. Yangshan asks him his name, to which he says that he is the warrior of the sunset, and everyone calls him Brother Dao. As they are about to enter the dungeon, they encounter 3 soldiers, and Brother Dao fights with them using an A-tier strike. Brother Dao tells them that he has raided this dungeon before, and these sand soldiers will ceaselessly regenerate if their core isn't destroyed. He then shows Yangshan the core of the Yellow Sand Dungeon's mechanisms, the Nightmare Generator. He says that Keek, a wilted tree under the Nightmare Generator, is a hidden boss once you go for the core. Yangshan then goes to attack the soldiers, and Brother Dao feels that he should have gone for the Night Air instead. But Zhisheng says that he has never given up on a repeatable reward that easily. On the other hand, the master's men wonder why the 3 of them haven't come out yet. The girl then asks her teammate to get her an iced tea. Yangshan attacks the sand soldiers with full power and fights with them. Suddenly the reward falls off, and Brother Dao wonders if Yangshan is tired and asks when he will stop. To which Zhisheng replies that he won't stop unless the reward stops spawning. Brother Dao thinks that he will have no chance to lay a hand on him at this rate. He then decides to get the side quest done quickly and seek an opportunity after they get out. Brother Dao then attacks the wilted tree, but the tree attacks him with full power in return, and then they all get to know that there is a hidden boss. Brother Du thinks that he wanted to let Yunshin deal with the hidden boss. Suddenly, the wilted tree attacks with full power, and other branches start growing on the sand. Yangshan thinks that all elements are crucial to clearing a dungeon flawlessly. He then attacks the tree branches with his sword in full power, and he suddenly opens a lighter and attacks the tree with it. The tree blasts with power, and a virtual screen appears that shows the substitute puppet's remaining count as 3. But suddenly, the tree becomes even stronger. Whereas, on the other hand, Brother Dao sprains his leg in the explosion. Brother Dao thanks Yangshan for saving his life, but he thinks that he got saved by the enemy. But then he thinks that he will help him against that strange tree to repay his kindness, as it is not a betrayal on young Master Fang. Just as the tree becomes stronger, Zhisheng observes that the boss is capable of both long-range and melee combat, and its defense is weak when it generates fireballs. They think the victory will be theirs if the timing is right. Zhisheng thinks that Brother Dao is a veteran in the western region. Brother Dao tells Yangshan that he won't be able to dodge the fireballs at close range if he fails to hit them the first time. The tree then attacks the 3 of them by generating a fireball. Brother Dao decides to deal with the branches and trick them into spitting fireballs, and Zhisheng decides to help him as well. The rest now depends on Yangshan. Zhisheng uses shadow taunting to attack the branches. The tree suddenly becomes very powerful, and a very bright light starts coming out of it. Just as the light hits the ground, a blue cage stone comes out, and its bright light hits the three guys. Suddenly, they all notice that the tree has collapsed, and a bright moon-like figure appears. After that, a virtual screen appears that says that it is a realm of weightlessness, and it crushes the galaxy sphere, and creates a weightless realm of 100 meters in diameter. Everything in this realm will move in slow motion and become weightless. As they finally made it through, they decided to go further. Brother Dao thinks that it's time to deal with Yin Yangshan and wonders if Sister Hu and the others are still waiting. Yangshan then asks them to move to the next dungeon and says that he is going to clear every single dungeon in the western region. They then suddenly notice a huge dragon with wings on top of the next dungeon. A soldier is seen standing at the entry point, but they kill him and take his weapon along with them. Both Brother Dao and Zhisheng are shocked to see Yangshan going forward in his killing spree, as they didn't expect him to come this far. According to the map, their next destination should be the western border of this area's unclaimed dungeons, says Zhisheng. Yangshan feels that their journey to the west is coming to a perfect end. After that, they all arrive at the unclaimed dungeons, where they see a beautiful woman standing in front of a bunch of men. Suddenly, the dragon monster comes and attacks the people. He captures the beautiful girl and flies off. It turns out that she is Princess Jenny. Yangshan wonders what it was, and Zhisheng says that it seems like a cutscene from a video game but wonders why it would exist in the dungeons. A man then calls them warriors from the Outland and asks if they are willing to defeat the dragon and save the princess. The dragon puffs in anger, and Yangshan immediately runs to defeat him. The dragon is seen as a very powerful creature, but Yangshan goes to attack him. Yangshan comes onto the dragon's legs and tries attacking him with his sword. It turns out that this is all just my imagination. The man from the kingdom says that he has witnessed Yangshan heroically defeating the evil dragon, and he has faith in his capability to save the princess. Zhisheng feels that these are classic NPC dialogues, and it seems like this dungeon even has a plot. Yangshan then asks Brother Dao about the reason behind his astonishment. Suddenly, Brother Dao starts crying and starts calling the man his son. He says that this is his long-lost son, and back then, he insisted on taking the western dungeons on his taking him to, and he heard from him since then. He says that he traveled around the western region for all these years in search of him. This shocks the man, and he says that he doesn't even know Brother Dao, but he insists on saying that he is his father. Yangshan then asked Brother Dao to stop with all the acting and get rid of his disgusting snort. The man then gives him something to wipe it off, and Brother Dao asks if it is a biscuit. But the man says that it isn't a biscuit, it's a compressed flying rug. He put the acid in the water, and suddenly a flea rug came out of it. Yangshan gets surprised upon seeing this. Yangshan takes a look at the flying rug and wonders why such quirky items exist in a dungeon. Brother Dao again starts calling the man his son, but Zhisheng says that it must be a mistake, as how could an NPC in a dungeon be his son? Yangshan thinks that he indeed looks like an NPC as he still carries on with his speech, even though there's someone carrying right in front of him. Suddenly, Yangshan comes behind the man and says that he looks just like an NPC, no matter what we do, as he still carries on with his speech. Zhisheng says that there's something off, as items are usually rewarded after monsters are killed, but he's just holding it there. Yangshan asks if this has happened in the dungeon before, to which Zhisheng replies that it has never happened and he has heard of dungeons with plots. Yangshan then says may truth sit only surface after they beat the boss. The three of them sits on the flying rug and go. A drone is seen flying in the air. On the other hand, Master Feng's men are seen sleeping in bean bags in the desert. Suddenly, a virtual message from the masters comes, and he complains about his men not coming back to him since he sent them to get rid of Yin Yangshan. He then gets angry, knowing that it hasn't been done yet. The girl tells him that Brother Dao went inside the dungeon with them, and there's been no news since then. The master then wonders if they all perished in the dungeon. He then gets a message and tells them to contact him later. The girl asks the other two companions, and they start discussing who was on duty at night. And suddenly, the master appears again and calls them idiots. He informs them that they are all already in the westernmost ancient castle dungeon. He then orders his men to get there immediately and kill Yin Yangshan. Suddenly, a jeep is seen through the desert, and a girl says that she herself is enough. She tells another girl that there was no need for her to come as it was dangerous here. The Jiri turns out to be Yangshan's childhood friend, and she says that he wants to see him. The previous head of the Fang family is seen reading a virtual message, which says that a full team of S-tier hunters explored the western dungeons for the first time, and in the westernmost ancient castle dungeon, they were all killed. He gets shocked upon reading the message, thinks that something is off, and decides to go and see everything. Suddenly a big monster-like shadow comes behind him and asks him not to meddle in the matter. It says that it's bad for a patient to get emotional. The head of the family asks him what he wants, as he has always minded his own business. The shadow threatens the man with a knife on his neck and says that the Western dungeons are not his to explore, and he should recall his people, just as the mystery man is about to leave after threatening the previous Aha of the Fang family. The Ahead starts shouting that everyone has a right to explore the Western dungeons, as this rule applies to everyone. He further says that the mystery man is being way too high and mighty. The mystery man turns his face to the side and asks him if he won't do as he says. He then threatens him once more by saying that perhaps the death of the former family head will bring them back. The former head comes into full physical strength and tries to attack the mystery man. With just a flick, the mystery man ties the former head up as he shouts in anger. On the other hand, the three of them on the flying rug reach the Western dungeon. While landing on the ground, Yongshin says that if that dwarf really is your son, then the NPCs will respawn. Brother Dao gets anxious upon realizing that he was supposed to go undercover. Zhisheng looks at the map and wonders if it is the evil dragon's cave. He thinks that it seems like a boss of the fire element. They then enter the cave and notice that the princess is tied up with ropes on the top of the rock, and below her is hot, swelling lava. Brother Dao thinks that the mission will be complete once we save the girl, but Yongshin says that it is obviously a trap as the hostage is tied there in such dangerous terrain. They have no idea if she's alive, and there's no sight of enemies. Just as Brother Dao is about to walk, he immediately saves himself from falling into the lava. Then Zhisheng asks the princess if she is alright, whereas Yongshin throws a stone at her head to check, to which Zhisheng protests and asks him why he is abusing the hostage. Suddenly, the boss appears Yongshin and throws heavy fire from his mouth towards Yongshin and the other two men. Due to the fire, the rocks start collapsing, and it turns out that the rock below Zhisheng's feet cracks. Zhisheng falls from the cliff and asks for Yongshin's help. Yin Yongshin puts forward his hand for help, and Zhisheng somehow captures it. But Yongshin now also hangs on the cliff with one hand holding the rock and the other hand holding Zhisheng. The dragon sees this and comes to attack them again. After seeing this, Brother Dao thinks this can't be helped, as Yongshin saved his life after all. He attacks the dragon with his sword and pulls both of them up. The boss again comes to attack them, but Zhisheng attacks the dragon with the shadow taunt technique. Striking the arc on the dragon's head is his weakness. Just then, Yongshin goes up and hits the mark on his head with his sword. The dragon cries in pain, and Yongshin comes to know that it's his weak point and asks the other two to attack the dragon on his head. All three of them collectively attack the dragon with their swords on his head, which eventually kills the dragon, and all his parts slowly start to diminish. They all get shocked at killing the dragon so easily. Suddenly, Yongshin finds a box with the letter X written on it. The box suddenly ignites, falls out of Yongshin's hand, and explodes. After this, the princess suddenly starts shouting for help, but Yongshin feels something is off, and just when they all try to untie the princess turns into a monster. The monster, in the form of the princess, tries to attack them. The monster scares them but again fits its face into the body of the princess. Yongshin says that it's the hidden boss in the form of the princess. He says that he confirmed that the underground dungeons only consist of two elements, which are NPC monsters and rewards. That's how a normal dungeon is structured. He says that the sudden appearance of a princess with a plot, as well as the boss dragon that doesn't give any reward upon death, doesn't make any sense at all. Brother Dao thinks that they are lucky to have Yongshin's OCD thinking. The boss says to Yongshin that he is the first one to detect his identity, and it is meticulous that he is able to reach this stage. It turns out the boss is an S-tier hidden boss, Chain Jenny. The boss then attacks Yongshin with a chain and throws a purple liquid from her mouth at Zhisheng. The poisonous liquid makes Zhisheng weak, and Brother Dao thinks that he owes one to Zhisheng. Yongshin observes that Jenny has one chain longer than the other. Zhisheng says that the long chain on her left hand is for ranged attacks, the short chain on her right hand is for close combat, and this is a powerful boss capable of both ranged and close combat. Brother Dao says that he can handle the ranged attacks, but Yongshin wonders what they should do about her toxic liquid. Yongshin asks Dao to release his attack to pin her left hand. Chain Jenny attacks Dao, but he counterattacks her with his sword and pins her hands. The boss starts rotating fast with her chains and again tries to attack Yongshin. Yangshin thinks that he luckily has a substitute with him to take the damage, which surprises the boss. Yangshin throws the miniature flying carpet received from the man towards the mouth of the boss, which closes her mouth. He then attacks her with his sword. Suddenly, Yangshin notices the X box he saw earlier, and then he suddenly notices a big door with X written on it opening. All three of them walk inside and notice people being held as hostages inside little containers. Yangshin wonders what kind of dungeon this is. Jisheng looks at the map and says that this should be the West Dungeon's boundary, but he wonders where it leads. Brother Dao suddenly remembers that, many years ago, this used to be a free roaming area of the West Dungeon. When a country was in power, the Western Dungeon developed to this point. Further exploration was halted until the military of Country X took over this place. He further tells us that after transforming the local residents into NPCs, an experimental dungeon was created. Yangshin then asks Brother Dao about the person who has this kind of ability, to which he replies that the boss of X country is a hunter with an S-tier ability, and his name is Jibo Nai. On the other hand, Yangshin's childhood friend with the other girl is seen sitting in the car. She is seen complaining about the bad signal in the desert. She then notices Master Fang's men and wonders what those guys are doing at the side of the road with the screen. Suddenly, Fang meets Master Jibo Nai, who tells him that Yangshin and his companions have already found his experimental base, and that his plan Fang failed. Master Bai asks for one Nai chance from Jibo, but he bestows him with his new strength. Jibo Nai suddenly comes out of the screen and orders the three men to go and kill everyone who discovered that experimental base. This scares the men. On the other hand, Jisheng says that they shouldn't have entered such a secret military site, and they should leave. But Yangshin insists on exploring more. Suddenly, a red alert button starts beeping, and a green liquid starts flowing below the containers. All the transformed people come out of the containers and start walking towards Yangshin and his companions. They think that if they can't escape, they should better prepare to fight. Suddenly, they all notice a teleporter coming out of the roof from above, and Jisheng says that this is X country's core technology. Brother Dao wonders if this is their dungeon completion reward. The teleporter opens, and another monster comes out of it. Brother Dao thinks about how Fang Chunyi has come here. He then thinks that maybe it's time to have a showdown with them, but then realizes that those two saved him and decides not to fight with them. Jisheng then stops Yangshin from fighting Chunyi and says that he isn't the same as others and has been transformed. All transformed people release sparkling light from their eyes, and Brother Dao thinks that he has to find a way to save his son. He attacks his own son, which makes him faint, and then tries to take him away. Just after Fang Chunyi's eyes went red, the other guys went berserk. Yangshin then decides to take down Fang Chunyi but observes that his responses are slow. Fang Chunyi releases more power, which surprises Yangshin, and they both attack each other. He then realizes that Fang has become a monster. On the other hand, Jibo Nai is seen watching all of this and thinking that the current master of the Fang family is still very useful. After this, Fang Chunyi attacks Yangshin with his power. Both Yangshin and Jisheng try to dodge Chunyi's attacks, but he again attacks, which pushes Yangshin into the wall. He then tries to think in between Chunyi's multiple attacks. Dao's son and the transformed princess somehow get hit by Chunyi's attacks. Jisheng thinks that these bouncing attacks are going to kill them all, but then he notices Yangshin running towards Chunyi. Yangshin thinks that this guy can't move fast right now, so he will try going straight to him. He then attacks Chunyi with full power, and while crying his lungs out, he bursts into flames. Both Yangshin and Jisheng think that he is dead, but he still appears out of the smog. Jisheng tells Yangshin that this cannon is dangerous as he keeps firing it, and Yangshin says that they have to take a gamble. Just when Chunyi fires again from the cannon, Yangshin cuts his arm with his sword. Yangshin thinks that since his skin is immune to the cannon, Fang Chunyi gets angry after getting his arm cut and suddenly fires with full power from the cannon. Yangshin uses Fang's hand to dodge the fire from the cannon. Fang Chunyi burns in his own fire, dodges Yangshin, and dies. Here's the video ends. Guys, if you like this recap, then like the video. We will meet in another video. Till then, bye.